Emotion and psychological stress play a powerful role in the onset of chronic illness, including breast cancer, prostate cancer, multiple sclerosis, and many others, even Alzheimer's disease. Welcome back to another episode of The Missing Link in Your Healing, the podcast where we bring you the parts that you might not necessarily know or might not be obvious to you. We do this so that you can help yourself heal from the inside out. So today I'm going to do another book review, and I'm reviewing a book written by Dr. Gabor Maté called When the Body Says No. This is a very, very powerful and important book. Dr. Maté is a medical doctor, and he's also a best-selling author. And in this episode, I'm going to bring to you 7 highlights from this book of his, where he leads us into this mysterious territory of how emotion and psychological stress play a role in our health and healing. Maté shows us that illness is not only a biological event, but it's also our biography written in our flesh and our bones. He fills this book with many moving stories of real people, his patients, and he bases the information on psychoneuroimmunology, which is a medical science we've talked about that is investigating this link between body, mind, emotions, the way we live, etc. So he says there are many times when the body speaks a language we do not want to hear. Some examples might be you have a tight chest while you're in the middle of an argument. You have a migraine after a day spent swallowing words that you wished you'd said, but you didn't. You could feel extremely fatigued and tired long after your work is done. Could this be the body's way of drawing boundaries when our mouths refuse to? Of sounding alarms when our hearts have gone silent? So according to Gabor Maté, yes. And here are the 7 deeply reflective lessons from this work of his, this book. Number 1, the body keeps the score of silence. When we suppress anger, grief, or fear for too long, the body ends up being the unwilling storyteller. Illness, tension, and pain often carry the words that we never spoke out loud. Maté teaches us that silence is never neutral. It accumulates layer by layer until the body itself begins to speak. Number 2, saying yes too often becomes a disease of its own. One of the book's striking truths is that those who chronically neglect themselves for the sake of others are more vulnerable to disease. A body that always bends eventually breaks. This lesson is stark, but it's also very liberating and freeing. Saying no is not selfish. It's actually a form of survival, a boundary that protects us in terms of our health and also our dignity. Number 3, stress is not just in the mind, it's in the cells of our body. Maté shows us that stress does not stay confined to our thoughts or feelings. It weaves itself into our nervous system, hormones, and immune responses. Chronic stress wears the body down the way water carves a stone, slowly, invisibly, but powerfully. To manage stress is not indulgence, it's a necessity. Number 4, childhood patterns echo in adult illness. Many of Maté's patients that he writes about share a history of emotional suppression which they learnt in childhood. Becoming a good child by hiding pain from parents, earning love by erasing one's own needs as a child. These patterns follow people into adulthood, and they show up not only in our relationships, but in our physical health. So healing, therefore, is not only medical, it's deeply personal and it's generational. And we recorded a whole episode, episode 54, with an expert called Simone Stain on how past trauma and even childhoods without trauma affect adult illness and health. So go and take a listen. Number 5, compassion without boundaries becomes self-destruction. We often think of compassion as needing to be limitless, but Maté reminds us that compassion that excludes the self is incomplete. When we continually care for others at the expense of ourselves, our bodies will eventually rebel. True compassion honors self, both self and others. It gives, but without us depleting ourselves. Number 6, illness is not blame, but it is a message. Perhaps one of the most tender lessons in this book is this: illness is not our fault, but it's a signal. It is not punishment, but it is communication. Rather than shaming ourselves for being sick, we are invited to deeply listen to what the illness may be revealing about our unspoken needs, our unprocessed grief, or our unacknowledged truths. And we recorded a whole episode on this, episode 60. Number 7, healing requires both science and story. Maté is a physician. He's medically trained. He's a doctor. But his healing lens extends way beyond medicine. He shows that true healing requires both the science of the body, but also the story of the person living inside it. To heal is not just to treat symptoms, but to integrate the physical, emotional, and spiritual dimensions of life. And this is what our whole podcast is about. Every single episode speaks to the same theme. So to get back to the book, this book and its information may not be easy for some people, just as the information on our podcast isn't, I'm sure. It can leave a person feeling very unsettled, but it's also necessary. We want to remind you, as does this book, that our life's most dangerous wounds are not always visible, and that the cost of never speaking our truth is often paid in the currency of our health. This is what Loretta and I are all about. I only knew this at the age of 56 when I got cancer, and this was my journey to healing. What we're speaking about here, that Gabor Maté speaks about in the book, and what we attempt to bring in our podcast. So yes, this can be disconcerting and uncomfortable to know this, but we don't have to be angry, upset or stressed about it. It's there in this book and through our podcast to offer hope. And this is the hope. If we listen to the whispers of our bodies, listen to your body when it whispers, don't wait till it screams. We can then reclaim the power of honest emotion, honoring our own boundaries. We can live lives that are not only longer and healthier, but deeper, freeing, and more fully our own. I refer back to my own story and to episode 60. Not only did I help myself heal with the stuff that Maté talks about, but it changed my whole life for the better. So this is not just a journey to heal, as we always say. It's a journey to your best life. So if any of this resonates, this is an invitation to the better alternative, embodied, integrative wellness and well-being and healing. So Gabor Mate's book is available on Amazon. I'll put a link. It'll be available in any bookstore near to you, almost anywhere in the world, I'm sure. I actually saw a free audiobook version of this book online on YouTube, so I'll put a link to that. And if you do audiobooks like I do, it is available on Audible. Sorry, Audible. This is a very important episode. Please share it because you never know whose life this might save. And I don't just mean if they're really ill. I mean, they could be struggling in any way. And even if they're not struggling, to know this information before you get chronically ill or you hit with something like cancer, it could mean that you have a better quality of life in every way, including potentially not getting so sick. So copy the link and share it on WhatsApp. Share it directly to people. Often people forget to go back and listen to something if you just mention it. Please help us spread this message by writing us a review. If you listen on a podcast platform like Apple or Spotify, it really helps us to get up in the rankings and ratings so we can get this message out to more people. If you're on YouTube, please share the episode on your social media platforms. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't. The more subscribers we get, the more the Google bots find us. And please write a comment underneath in YouTube, ask an email us. All our details are in the show notes. Thank you yet again for journeying with us and listening. We value you very much.